Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're on number 50, Led by Life podcast. Gene Key 50. Here we are. Hannah and I, if you have not been here, are two manifestors in human design, both ego manifestors. The podcast has been a journey through the Gene Keys. So we are at Gene Key 50 this episode here. And we really just talk about our own process and our experiences with human design and the gene keys and the contemplation of it all and the experience and journeys of life. And we try to be as authentic and honest with what comes up in the moment, to be as present as possible and have a lot of fun. It's basically a live book club of us geeking out on the gene keys. That's really what it is. And so if you listen, we're so appreciative of your listenership. And if you're back, welcome back. And if you're new, we're so happy you're here. So we are on Gene Key 50. And I've said it 3 times because not that we've intentionally have pushed it off, but because it's just not been one that Hannah and I have like superly connected with. So life has happened and things, and we're like, yeah, okay, next one, next one. But here we are because we're committed to the process and to the journey, and we got to do it. We got to show up. So here we are.
Sometimes you just have to do it.
So
Yeah, we were joking last week because it just didn't work for both of us, and we were like, Jinky 50 lives to see another week. And I think that, like what you said, some of them just don't fully connect, and it's not that it doesn't resonate, it's not that there's not parts of it that we don't understand or can't find some sort of meaning or understanding in. It's just sometimes they don't fully. Perhaps there's nothing to say so much, or
yeah,
there's not as much to say. And I wonder if because neither of us have this one defined in our charts. And I don't know, do you have the other end of the channel? Do you have the 27th?
I don't, but it's also very much connected to the 59th. And do I have the 59th?
I'm not sure.
The gate of
I love how you ask
intimacy?
me as if I know.
Sometimes Hannah will just come in and tell me the parts of my chart that I sometimes forget. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I didn't know if you had that one memorized, but um, no. So I was noticing that there are two channels that make up this circuitry. This is a very small circuitry. And I do have six, the
Mhm.
sixth gate. And that ties into here because that's the gate of intimacy. I thought it was 59, but I think it's six, which is
Yeah,
like
it's 9. The channel is 6:59. Yeah.
659. So I don't have 59, but I do have six. Um,
Gotcha.
and what I've noticed is that a lot of these energies have a lot to do with like the tribe, the like groups, society, humanity. They're not so much individual.
No, they're tribal. And, looking at it, I've just pulled up. So it's the defense circuit, it's part of
Hmm.
the tribal circuit.
Hmm.
And I don't have any of these gates defined. So there's the 4 gates that we've just talked about, but I also don't have any gate in any of these centers defined.
Right.
Because we're talking about the spleen, the sacral, and the emotional solar plexus, which I have completely open. So no wonder I don't really have anything to say about this. You know, it's not for
Yeah.
me to say because this is not a consistent, none of these are consistent for me. And of course, there's things to learn and
Right.
in here to be extracted. But yeah, it makes sense looking at it now, why for
Hmm.
both of us it would be not something that we're,
Yeah.
feeling like we have a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a little definition in all of them, the sacral, the spleen, and the solar plexus. So there's a little bit highlighted in each. Um, but what I was also kind of wanting to touch on was the spleen center itself, of it being part of like the immune system, our instincts, um, like a real feel good center, like it's meant around well being and feeling good. and the not self theme being holding on to things, right? I think it's holding on to things that are not good for you.
And serve you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that that's one of the beautiful things about not having something that is like a consistent energy is where we gain a lot of wisdom from. And that's kind of been my reflection of sitting with this energy, more so the center than the gate itself. For the gate itself, it is the shadow of corruption, the gift of equilibrium, and the city of harmony. So, I just wanted, to throw that in there because we kind of reference all of the frequencies throughout each one. Not that I'm going to say much more about any one of those, really. Um, so I was thinking about fears because in the last couple weeks, we've also have had a lot of conversations of coming up against our fears. And
Mm.
each gate in the spleen has a specific fear that it's associated with. And the 50th is the fear of responsibility. I don't necessarily know how to, like, I interpret that. I don't know if you have a way that you interpret that.
Well, no, I don't know if that's something that I'm fully aware of or that fully resonates, but I have been thinking a lot about responsibility for myself as it relates to emotions because a lot of awareness has been coming up for me recently around like taking responsibility for other people's emotions. And again, as someone who is very sensitive and can feel even just the subtleties
Mhm.
of other people's emotional experiences with that completely open, undefined emotional solar plexus, I would say it's a similar sort of relationship in each of the centers for me. And I'd be interested in hearing your perspective as someone who also has them undefined. You know, both of us have all these centers undefined, but you
Mhm.
do have like a touch of a taste of each of these flavors through those defined gates. And yeah, I suppose so for me, I wonder if there's like a bit of responsibility for the fear of responsibility. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say is I've been bringing awareness to like where I'm taking responsibility for other people's emotions. So maybe there's a similar dynamic that happens when it comes to like other people's well-being.
Mhm. Because it says here, awareness to be responsible for the preservation of others or not, fear of taking on responsibility or taking on too much responsibility due to fear. So I
Mm,
sense that like that might be like sort of spot on. Because some of the other ones, and we've gone through most of the gates in the center, we really only have, I believe, one more after this.
yeah.
So the 48th is the fear of inadequacy. The 57th, which is the next one in this gate that will then complete the center, is the fear of the future. 44 is the fear of the past. The 50th is the fear of responsibility. The 32nd is the fear of failure. The 28th is the fear of depth slash purpose. And then the 18th is fear of authority. So yeah, I guess now like having said all of those.
I've got a cat at the door.
Oh, Nala, welcome. She wants to
She
join the
wants to
party.
get in. Can you see her?
Yeah. She was adamant about getting in today.
She scratches at the door. She knows my office is warm because it's cold here.
Yeah.
I just had an insight, and I hope I didn't cut you off there at
No,
all,
it's okay.
but I just had an insight around, okay, so
Yep.
the
Rolling.
57th you said is the fear of the future.
Yeah.
The 44th is the fear of,
Hold on, I
what
just
was that?
got out of it. The 44 is the fear of the past.
Okay, so we've got the fear of the future, the fear of the past, we've got the fear of responsibility. None of those fully resonated with me. Like, I
Mhm.
don't think they're fears that I really embody.
Mhm.
However, the fear of inadequacy, the 48th, I have the other end of the channel. I have the 16th. The fear of what was the 32nd? Have you got the other three there?
The fear of failure.
I have the other end of what's that? The 30, sorry, the 28th.
No, the 32nd is the fear of failure.
I have the other end of that, the 54th, and I
Mm.
definitely identify with the fear of failure. The 28th is the fear of,
Death and purpose. Death slash
yeah,
purpose.
I would say I have the fear of like not fulfilling my purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have the 38th, the other end of the channel, and the 18th was the fear of
The fear of authority.
authority, and I have the 58th. So, like, wow, that just kind of hit me
Wait,
that
you have the hanging gate to
I have the hanging
all of
gate
these?
to all of them except the 57th, the 44th, and the 50th, and the three ones that didn't fully, like, I wouldn't say those fears are really present for me, the fear of the future and the fear of the past, or the
Yeah.
fear of responsibility. But those other ones, like, yes, I definitely feel that. And I had a human design coach once tell me that, like, often where you have a hanging gate is where you can kind of amplify that fear because it's like you're reaching for that, the energy wants to like move through that channel, but it's like a missing piece,
Right.
right?
Right. So it's like without the definition of that fear, there's like this gap that then highlights that fear because of the missing piece of it.
Yes.
Mm.
Because I remember when we talked about the fear of inadequacy with the 48th, because I know that's a really prominent gate for you. And that's a gate that again makes up a channel for us. And I remember like we both could really resonate with that. Obviously, it expresses differently,
Hmm.
but it's like these hanging gates or these pieces that are missing, but they're not missing. It's just not, it's just like the energy wants to kind of find that other end
Yeah.
of the channel is where we can, like you said, can highlight those fears.
Yeah. 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 And, I'm thinking about how, specifically for the fear of responsibility, how you were like associating it with emotions. Um, that for myself, I could definitely say that there has been more so a fear of like what would happen if I didn't take the responsibility of somebody else's well-being or how they were doing or more so emotionally or even mentally, really. And that has been like a real place of like teaching and difficulty and hardship and learning for myself. And I feel that right now with the shift that is happening collectively, and I don't know about for you, but for me, I feel like some fears are being heightened to sort of break through them right now. Because
Mm.
that's just how it feels like energetically for me, like in my life with the things that are I'm coming up against. Um, a lot of it to do around like maybe relationship or finances or being seen out in the world or like what how I carry my work and all of that. And so I wonder, what do you think is something that helps the spleen sender recognize when it's with fear and how to move through the fear?
Hmm. I mean, it's a very physiological
Mm,
feeling, right?
hmm.
It's not like the same as mental anxiety because we've talked about that before when we were in the ajna, and it's a very different, it's like you feel it in the body. So again, I feel like I just want to talk about emotions. Maybe it's something that I'm just a little bit more aware of at the moment, but like and well, maybe this is in a way a way that fear connects to the emotion because of the channel, the
Mhm.
because of the circuit. Like this is what connects the spleen to the solar plexus just via the sacral. But yeah, it's just like letting yourself be with the fear without necessarily making it mean something about you. That's what I've been sitting with. Like, can I sit with the discomfort in whichever way that it shows up?
Mhm.
So, like I was saying, the discomfort of perhaps somebody else's emotional experience or somebody else's response or emotional reaction to what I have to say, or, I like, I've been, like, both of us have been stepping more into visibility and stepping more into showing up as our real selves, like you said, really doing our best to be as authentic as possible and to reclaim our voices and to really use our voices.
Mhm.
And for me, that does bring up fear because there's so much unknown in how other people will respond,
Yeah.
right? So it could be emotional, it could be even the fear of, yeah, like your own well-being. It could be fear of not being a part of the tribe. Like this is remembering that this is a tribal energy, like that belonging, fear of being rejected. And I know that that's somewhere else in the chart. I'm not sure that that fear of rejection, but I suppose for me, the question I keep coming back to is, can I sit with the discomfort without having to make it mean something about me? And I think that goes back to the authenticity piece, is like when you know who you are and you know what your intentions are, then being okay with however life responds might not even necessarily be other people, right?
Hmm.
Like how life rearranges itself or life responds to how you're showing up.
Yeah. And I guess it also, like, what do we I'm kind of like tying it to the center being when we're not like holding on to things that aren't good for us. And I really want to make sure that this is what I have correct. Yeah,
Yeah, I think,
it's holding on
yeah.
to things that aren't good. Um, and where I was going with that was simply that if we if we sit with fears like you're saying and kind of just being present with the discomfort of it, then I think we also have to recognize like the other side of like what is allowing us to feel comfortable or good by holding on to that fear. Um,
Mm.
of whatever is on the other end, and I can just say this for me has been really prominent in relationship for me because of not wanting to disrupt somebody else or unsure of how they were going to take care of themselves. Like I've personally have been one who's been in relationship a lot longer than I've needed to. And it's impacted my immune system for the majority of my life, which this is also the center of the immune system. And
Let's talk about, like, so holding on to a relationship for longer or a dynamic that doesn't serve you.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we could say all kinds of things about it. Um, but I think that this is kind of like back to the piece of the 50th being that fear of responsibility. I think that I've taken on such a, and in another part of the chart, there's this energy of codependency, which I also have defined. So when you add that piece along with many other layers and pieces, and an undefined spleen, I could very well fall into patterns that have me be in dynamics that don't feel good for me, but I'm fearful of, you know, what the outcome would look like. And as I'm saying this, I'm recognizing and how present this is with an experience going on with like the place of work that I have. There's, coming across some news recently that I don't know the outcome. I don't know what's going to happen with it. And holding on to this type of work because it's always felt easy. It keeps coming into my experience. Um, and
Mm.
not wanting to let it go because that would mean then that I have to face the other fears of like, yeah, being seen, being visible, getting, you know, my name out there, whatever that looks like, or however I'm trying to create that or bring that forth. Um, that's why I'm saying like to you, like I'm saying to you and everybody else, I feel like right now personally, and they're not like super intense. And I think that what has helped is that I've been doing a lot of like grounding work to stay very much in my heart and connecting to my soul and holding the higher vision of what I want life and life for all of us to be like. So I think right now they're like sort of coming up as quote
Mm.
unquote test of like, okay, so when this fear comes up, like, how are you going to respond? And for example,
Yeah.
today I like immediately went into panic.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just kind of talked to myself. I talk to myself all the time. That's how I bring myself back.
Yeah.
I've been
It's
talking
really
to myself and I've been praying and I like both of these out loud is what really
Mm.
helps me. And I think that just has to do with like my authority, my strategy and authority. And so, um, yeah, and unchecked fear will certainly have us holding on to things that are not good for us, just to simply soothe like the depth of what's there. Um, and this can go for like also, um, there's another part of the spleen where we can ingest things. Like we
Mm.
can want to take substances or food or external things to constantly make us feel good.
Mm.
And in the attempt to constantly feel good, on the flip side, avoiding something that is probably really scary to sit with. So I've noticed that for myself as well. Um, and also just in my own exploration of the spleen. That was another part. People with undefined spleens will also maybe hold on to relationships with people with defined spleens because that for them is a source of like feeling good, but there's a possibility that maybe that person isn't, or that dynamic or relationship isn't the most healthy or supportive for you, but there's something within you that is allowing it to feel good. So because you don't
Mm.
have that constant connection to that center, that's another way in which we just like hold on to people, right? And that goes specifically if you have like an undefined or defined. Um,
Yeah.
so I think, and both of our partners have them defined.
Yeah, both of our partners have the emotional solar plexus and the root defined as well, don't they? I think.
Definitely the spleen. I think
The
so.
solar. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah.
the same.
Huh?
Not the sacral. Not the sacral though,
No, no, no.
because then
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I know for me, having that has felt very different. And we've actually had a lot of conversations recently around my fears, and
Mm.
that some of like how some of them are just not rooted in the reality of what's here. Um,
Mm.
and so, I get triggered, I work through it, it comes up, it is what it is, and we keep it moving. Um, but I can imagine this is probably where like a lot of shadow work lives.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Yeah. And then these protective parts that come out to try and again just keep us safe,
Mm-hmm.
but perhaps they're just perpetuating a smallness or a comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another facet of this that just came to me is how, specifically with the 50th, that this is the energy of somebody who within the tribe has a sense of like what is right and wrong for the tribe and
Mm.
condition then everyone else for like the moral upbringing and standards of the group or the tribe. Um,
Yeah.
a lot to do with like parenting and how we raise our children and the morals in which they grow up
Yeah,
around and value and their values. Yeah.
I
So
think
if
it's the gate of values. I think it's called the gate of values in human design.
yes, it is.
And the cauldron, what did you take about that? So that's from the I Ching,
Yeah.
the um the symbol of the cauldron.
Hmm.
I'm just pulling it up
To
again.
me, it just feels like a big mixing pot. So I'm not
Yeah,
really sure.
yeah. But I
Mm.
suppose like if we look at it from the perspective, and again, I don't know if I have like a clear way of explaining what we read in the Gene Keys chapter. So if anyone clicked on this video or this podcast expecting to get like an in-depth description of the 50th, you're just not going to get that
No.
here. But I like where this is going and still enjoying the conversation. uh, but, if we think about this notion of like equilibrium and then the shadow of like corruption, and he also talks a lot about hierarchy and,
Mhm.
you know, and then if you think of it through the visual or the perspective of like this cauldron, the symbolic cauldron, it's like everybody finding their place. And then I suppose that's what leads to harmony.
Yeah.
Is the city, it's like it feels very new paradigm to me. Even
Mm.
though we're in a tribal circuit here, like I can't help but see things from the individual perspective because that's like so much of my circuitry is individual, but also just like that's where we're moving to. That's like the new paradigm is the individual energy. And so it's like individuals taking responsibility for their own values
Hmm.
and then still contributing to the tribe or the collective, um, but not so much like this hierarchical, like authoritative other people having that authority over you. It's really like the age of the individual authority, the
Hmm.
inner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel that that is what's essentially going to make communities and societies more harmonious is
Mm,
that before, when we were in protection and survival and creation for the tribe and the collective, the individual got left out, despite what some people might think of us as humanity right now or for ourselves in America. It's not an individual sense of like, it's just not a selfish individualness. You can see it that
mm,
way. But it's
mm,
really like when we're all playing our very unique role and part and coming from, the more of the gift experience of life, then that just makes the communities and the tribes better. And for me, like maybe I know I don't have the 50th, but I do have a lot of tribal um
mm,
circuitry. So I think that's why, like, as much as I work individually with people, my view and my context has always been of like the person in the entire environment. And it's like a
mm,
modal, it's like a theory that we learn in social work school. But that's kind of why I got called so much more to like that philosophy, so to speak. Um, I originally thought I was going to go to school for like and be a psychology major. And a lot of what I study still to this day is psychology. But I think sometimes, you know, where that misses is the fact that it hasn't always historically looked at the entire context of what's going on in a person's experience in every facet, because we're not just one part, right? We're not just our minds. Um, so yeah.
mm. I love that. And you and I have we've talked about this before with the spleen, like we've both gone through a lot of illness and experienced a lot of like disharmony within our bodies, and our immune systems. And even like right now, I'm dealing with a bit of inflammation in my joints because of the cold. And I'm just like, trying not to identify with it,
Yeah.
but like, what does my body need tending to?
Mhm.
What, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, what does my immune system need?
Yeah. I
Mm.
I guess for me it's because I got like I've been through quite a challenging um medical history, and it's made me hyper aware of where my physical body is. Now, do I always listen to what my body needs? No, probably not. I can do better. But um I will say that I know when something is not supportive to my well-being, it's very clear. It's very
Mm.
clear and I know it, and I think that that's really like the wisdom that I've gained from um experiences in my life that have not been supportive to my well-being. And so, I'm really keyed in on that, especially when I'm working with others and they have either like some physical manifestation of something, um, or maybe there is fear. Part of my gene key, actually, not my gene key, but part of my incarnation cross, one of them is the ability, the gift to really highlight or have people focus on the fears that they might not see or be addressing in their life. And coming across that has really like transformed the way I practice sometimes. Um, because I just feel like we got to go straight to it. Like, let's just get all the way as deep as possible. And maybe that's also because of the well, right? Um, and yeah, because we just don't have like time to like just stay up here. Like, you can't stay at the tip of the iceberg. It's just not going to work that way. Um, so yeah, yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a lot of the 50th. It's a little scramble.
A
That's
bit of a lot.
a little bit of a lot. Yeah. So where are we now, Hannah? We're at 51.
One, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty intimate relationship with the 51st. So who knows what will come from that next time, but I'm excited. Yeah.
And that's in the heart center, right?
Yeah, it's the only individual gate in the heart center. The rest are tribal.
And I have all of them except the 51.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so that one will be interesting. That'll be exciting. I think we're both
Mm.
kind of like looking forward to like moving on to the next.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of like close it with something that you had mentioned before we even started, which was trusting that, well, maybe I don't want to mess up your words, but you were essentially saying as we shift into the new paradigm, we're here to trust in the energetics of things and that the right people will match with whatever they need to take or come to, or that's what you were saying.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of about resonance, and it's going to be have a lot to do with like feeling people's presence and feeling people's intentions and feeling like the intentions behind people's actions and energy, and but also I think without judgment, because I think it'll be like we'll be able to we'll feel someone's energy, and maybe it's somebody that we love and somebody that will, is going to stay in our lives, but maybe we'll feel their energy and we'll be like, that's not mine. I'm not going to take that on. Like the relationship that we have with the subtle energies, I think will shift. But I also think that we'll come across people, whether it's on social media or in real life, and we'll just be able to feel very quickly whether there's a match, an energetic match.
Mhm.
And perhaps it'll be because of electromagnetics, like we'll be able to feel somebody else's energy and we feel like attracted to it, or perhaps there just doesn't feel that resonance. But I don't think it has to necessarily be a bad thing.
Mhm.
You might say to me, like, oh, I love this person, or I might send you a video of something, and you just immediately might be like, that doesn't really resonate with me, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean that they can't resonate with me. But then also, I think we'll be able to move on more quickly from things that, perhaps they serve us for a season and then perhaps they don't anymore. And we'll be able to like shift more quickly and let things go more quickly. And I also think in terms of like I've shared this before, my prediction for the age of individuality and, more and more people becoming their own authority and more people becoming more visible and like creating and sharing their gifts and their essence with the world. I think that everybody is going to be, in a way, some form of like creative creator. Who knows? And especially with like AI, like that's a whole other conversation. But we're gonna want to be ourselves more and be our human selves more.
Mhm.
And I feel myself getting sidetracked. But what I was going to say is like you'll subscribe to people. So whether it's on Substack or Instagram or YouTube, and but then like they might not resonate after a couple of weeks. You take what you need and then you move on. And it doesn't
Yeah.
have to mean something. It doesn't have to mean like, oh, this person's bad or like I no longer like them. It's just there's just not that resonance anymore. And then like things will shift quickly. That's kind of my prediction. Who
Mhm.
knows? But I already feel like that's happening. Like within myself, I feel a lot less attached to things.
Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
how beautiful. I just wanted to end on that because, this one was wonky and you might come, you might like it, and you might just be like, peace out, whatever it is. Um, but no, this was fun. Good laughs. And we'll be back next time with the 50th. 51st. 51st. No more
Done
50.
with
We're done.
gonna close that chapter.
We have closed it.
All right.
Till next time, guys.